Welcome back to Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast. Talk all things comic books, video games, movies, TV shows, and more. Today, we are talking TV shows that ended too soon and answer a question from a listener. I'm Blade O'Neill.
I'm Ken Brown.
I'm Lance O'Neill.
And before we dive into it, of course, want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to Nightcap Chat. And if you do enjoy it, we encourage you to share it on social media. Tell your friends, family, loved ones, people you don't even like. Doesn't even matter. Because spreading the word just helps, and it is groovy. So we got some Nightcap Chat shirts, and I went on my way to deliver them both to you guys over the weekend, which was fun. Got to stop at Drona Comics and pick up my comic books and action figures at Drona Comics in downtown Glendale, Arizona. And that's at Drona Comics on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And Lance got his shirt, and I got to see my niece. Because if you haven't figured it out, Lance is my brother, because we share the same last name. Lance is my brother, so his daughter's my niece. Fun fact.
Yeah. And fun fact, only one of us is a genius.
And speaking of which, and not even I have a custom Nightcap Chat shirt, but Lance's shirt was customized. On the back, it says hashtag Lance is a genius.
Nice. Awesome.
So you'll see that out in the wild. I have one other copy of this shirt. They screwed up the order. I have one more hashtag nice. Lance is a genius shirt. I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet, but I'm just putting it out there. We're going to think about it. We're going to see where this hashtag Lance is hashtag Lance is a genius shirt ends up. Don't worry, it's spelled right. I'm just, as a creative person, I didn't like the font, and they sent me the wrong font that I chose. This was from my rejected proof, and they sent it anyway. So we fixed it. So it's still a good shirt. But we'll see what we do with that. And I have a bunch of extra shirts because I have some extra shirts. Sizes are limited. Might do a giveaway. Cool. We'll see what happens. So, stay tuned for that. In other news, Ken, I'm gonna let you take the lead on this because you're you know more about it than us.
Okay. Well, got the notice today that there is going to be a Thundercats movie that was announced today that is being produced by the same people that are doing Kong versus Godzilla, or Godzilla versus Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people are excited about Godzilla versus King Kong. And so I have, it looks cool from what I've seen in previews, Godzilla versus King Kong. So it's special effects or something that will be pretty well done, I imagine, with Thundercats, the movie, but it is based off of a 1985 cartoon of people that are cat-like humanoids. And it's a very, very popular, along with He-Man and Voltron and G.I. Joe and Transformers. And it was one of the top 10 cartoons of the 80s, I could argue with people on.
I'm looking at the article you sent me, and there's something very interesting in here that I did not know. That the Thundercats cartoon was by Rankin Bass.
Okay.
So to me, Rankin Bass is the that's who did the original the Return of the King cartoon from 1980 and the Hobbit cartoon. Yes. So I did not realize that was the same person. So that's kind of crazy to me. Anyway, that's a fun fact. I really liked those old Lord of the Rings cartoons.
Yeah, they were pretty good animators. I said too. It's like Thundercats is something that's been affectionately remembered for a lot of people. Like J. Scott Campbell even did a Thundercats Zero where he did the art side, and that is one of the more, I think, for comic book fans, cooler images of the Thundercats that you'll ever see. Because I'm sure J. Scott Campbell is something that a lot of people think are one of the better artists inside the comic industry, and it's kind of cool to see his take on the Thundercats. In fact, he's a big 80s cartoon fanboy, and so it's kind of cool to see his takes on the different cartoons from the 80s.
What's interesting here is it's also saying like they have a script, they're rewriting it, and it's going to be a hybrid of CGI and animation.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
So I don't know which part's going to be which.
Yeah.
What does that even mean? I don't even
understand. I know. It's like into one. Oh no.
Like the background's animation and their CGI. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That reminds me of the old 1990s Iron Man cartoon where it was all animation, but then when he put on his armor, it was the really bad 1990s CGI. You know, like that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
I hope it's better than
that. What?
I hope it's better than that.
I mean, yes, I hope so too. But I mean, they've been trying to do a Thundercats movie for a while now. I thought even 10 or so years ago, I thought even Vin Diesel might have been attached to one of the roles. Hopefully this
guy playing a cat.
It's a tough sell. I mean, it may be better as a CGI type of Final Fantasy type of movie, but I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to theaters if you do it that way.
I think, I mean, the technology exists. I think you can do it. You just gotta respect the looks, respect the source material, and don't try to deviate too far. Because if you're gonna upset the fans as well, like, what's the point of even doing it?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if you're
gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the whole thing of Sonic the Hedgehog. They had to rework a couple times. Even after reworking it, I really don't think it went over quite as well as fans hoped that it should look inside of theatrical present. Like even the Pokemon movie, I mean, some people said they loved it, but at the same time, though, was that up to expectations? That you was a Pokemon fan? Was that everything you hoped it would be for a Pokemon live action movie?
Yes.
So that gives hope to the Thundercats, because if they could pull it off with Pokemon, you pull it off with pretty much anything.
And I know some people. I've talked to other Pokemon fans who were like, yeah, I didn't really care for it. And I don't know why, because for what it was and everything that happened in the particular part of the world, right? It was pretty much inconsequential because of where it was taking place. So just the fact that it was establishing this world of Pokemon and the main storyline they did, I remember sitting there watching it, and it's like, if only they referenced this one aspect of what they're doing, I will consider this perfect. They did it. And I was like, okay, well, I cannot argue that. They gave me the one reference of this one part of the main story. I'm trying not to give any spoilers because I don't think Lance has seen it. I thought it was a wonderful setup to a world of live action Pokemon movies that could have done anything. And I think if you just approach it from there, like you can't really go wrong. The video, it's a weird start, I'll admit. The Detective Pikachu is a really weird concept, but they handled it great. And we're talking about this world where like you fight little creatures with all these powers and they can shoot water, electricity, or fire. Like, you have to have a little suspension of belief, and the fact that they did that, and the Pokemon looked like the Pokemon, you knew exactly what they were. I thought, I don't think it could have been much better. I've even bought the Blu-ray, and I don't buy movies, As far as Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't know. I didn't watch it. I thought it looked dumb. It could be great. I have no idea. Did you guys see Sonic?
I didn't know. Yeah. I heard bad things.
Yeah, you see. Yeah. The new Sonic looked, his new CGI looked good. He looked more like Sonic instead of what they were doing. As long as they do that, I think Thundercats, could be great. Mum-Ra's kind of creepy.
Yes.
Right.
Could be a great villain.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, even leave Snarf alone. I thought he was annoying, but preserve him. Like, it's okay. Don't be afraid. It's part of it, right?
Yeah, he's the comedy relief of the show.
Yes. Just don't make it a Jar Jar Binks.
I feel like with Disney, doing all the stuff it's done with the remakes of like movies like The Lion King and The Jungle Book. Like, it's kind of like some of it's there laid out for you how to like do a movie with like weird things, and then there's also like how not to do it with like the Cats movie. So it's like maybe you guys figure out, you know, where you how you should do it and how you shouldn't do it. You know, like I feel like the groundwork's there for him to not mess this up.
Yes. And I think you'll see much more of like a humanoid element. I mean, even though Cats were as much as they could try to do humanoid, but I don't know. There was like, I kind of feel like Thundercats, they'll go more on the human looking element of them rather than being overly cat-like. And they'll have cat elements to them, but not overly done cat elements to them.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. Just gotta be careful. Do it good.
Yes.
You know, spend some time development. Don't have to reinvent
like,
the wheel.
Tigra didn't look like a Tigra. He just had tiger-colored, skin type of thing. Like his markings looked like a tiger.
Yeah.
And Chitara didn't look like a cheetah. She looked like a lady that had cheetah markings on her. And Lionel didn't look like a lion head. He looked like a human, but then had the lion mane on his head type of feel to it. So I think there's a lot more human feature element of Thundercats than there was in Cats, the musical.
Yeah. And they'll probably like really embrace like the alien, side of this whole thing.
They need to go and just get a strong lead for it too. Like get like The Rock
or Liam Neeson.
You're good. Play it, stop.
Liam Neeson is Lionel. Like that's all you need, and this movie is going to succeed.
Liam Neeson is Lionel.
No,
I'd say like you need like a younger Lionel.
Okay, Lionel's dad.
Yeah, I could see Liam Neeson as like Panthro or Jaga. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, the dad of Lionel.
The dad. I'll give you the dad. But Liam Neeson can play all the Thundercats. It would be fine.
Greatest actor of all time.
What did you say?
Greatest actor of all time.
That's right. Or is Mumra?
Yeah, Liam Neeson's Mumra.
That would be cool. Anyway, yes. Hopefully that develops, and hopefully it actually comes out, and we watch it, and then we can discuss it. On an episode of Nightcap Chat. Before we move on to the main topic of today's episode, just going to quickly answer a question that we received on social media, because this will allow us to briefly bring up the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So Billy Goreski writes again, and he says, "My boss Nick Stanley thinks John Walker is Hydra. I think the Hydra story needs to take a rest, but what if John Walker joins Zemo and we get a Hydra Cap from Secret Empire or Flag Smasher Cap, or do you think John Walker stays as our new Captain America?" What do you think?
I think he's going to stay, like he's going to be Captain America through this until whoever decides between Falcon and Bucky is going to be the new Cap.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems committed to the U.S. government aspect of things, because he, based off what I saw in that episode, he really has a high respect for Captain America. And I don't see him as a person that will defect over to the other side because he's rejected as the Captain America by either Falcon or Bucky. Because he seems he wants to work with Falcon and Bucky, whether Falcon and Bucky want to work with him or not. And in this episode, you did see him turn to like, okay, then stay out of my way if you're not going to work with me. But he really kind of embraced this role of, I'm in this for the long haul, whether you guys like me or not. Okay. So I don't know if he'll defect over to, the evil organization because Falcon and Bucky don't agree or like him as Captain America. That'd just be my thoughts on it.
Lance, what do you think?
I don't think he has anything to do with Hydra. I would say, if anything, if it's any organization, it would maybe have to do something with AIM.
Okay. Give you that.
Because maybe they're leaning it towards like a MODOK thing and whatever. I don't think he'll take over Captain America. I think it's going to be Falcon and Bucky, I think it needs to be one of the two.
Yeah.
I don't think there's another option, in my opinion. And then I also think that the future of his character would be to maybe join another like B-list team kind of a thing, where like kind of like a West Coast Avengers type thing.
Yeah,
almost like in the comics.
Yeah,
or whether it's like a Defenders thing, or he ends up maybe turning into a bad guy eventually with AIM. But I don't see him taking over for Captain America.
Yeah, I'm right. Oh, sorry, go on, Ken.
I can see him as one of Thunderbolt Ross's Thunderbolts, because I hear that they're doing a Red Hulk Thunderbolts, and I can see Thunderbolt Ross pull him over into his group.
Yeah, I can see that
as a member of the Thunderbolts.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty much right there with you guys. You know, I think he's become a U.S. agent. You know, I don't think he'll keep the shield. Obviously, Falcon and or Bucky will become Captain America after this. I mean, and we've seen the leaked action figures and whatever. You know, he's not gonna last, but he'll be around. I don't think there's anything nefarious happening with him. Gosh, and I can't help myself, but I've been really looking forward to U.S. Agent, and this interpretation has been really disappointing and underwhelming in my personal opinion. If you guys are liking it, that's great, and I envy you, but it's just really boring, and that makes me sad. Hopefully he becomes more interesting as time goes on. And am I crazy? In the comics, did he not have powers? He didn't get the super soldier serum, or you guys don't know?
I don't remember whether he had powers or not. I just know that he was Super Patriot before becoming Captain America, so he was the character before becoming Captain America.
I thought he did have powers, because I thought he fought Captain America when it's like going toe to toe with him at one point, and I feel like
they've even kind of like retconned his powers a bit. Like he's more strong now than he was, you know, initially. I don't feel like googling it, but I just thought.
I mean, he does have superhuman strength.
Oh, okay. Well,
and
maybe that'll change.
Yeah, so
maybe he'll take the super soldier serum or something.
I mean,
that's
if he doesn't have it already, right? Or, you know, maybe he ends up getting with
the Flag
Smashers. His name? The Flag Smashers, and then ends up getting powers, because clearly there's people that have powers on their side, right?
Yes.
And maybe, you know, Baron Zemo takes him and turns him evil, and you have bad Captain America doing something, and then they have to fight him and get the shield back. I mean, I can see that.
We'll see. It's up in the air. We'll probably report more on Falcon Winter Soldier a little later on in the season.
Report more on what?
What? Just what?
What? You said report more on, and it sounded like report more on. Just making a joke.
Oh, okay. Okay. Went right over my head. Okay. Anyway, that's our take on it. You know? And that was a TV show, and that's my weak segue into talking about TV shows that ended too early, because Falcon and Winter Soldier is already lasting too long.
Oh, stop, dude! 2 episodes.
I know. I'm being dramatic. I am being dramatic.
Yeah. You sound like the people that hated WandaVision after the second.
Whoa! Don't compare me to those people. Don't compare me to those people. Yes, you're right. I am being too judgmental too.
This doesn't make any sense. I'm going to stop watching this. Remember the WandaVision haters?
Yes, I do. Yes,
yeah.
Yes. How the turntables have turned. Right.
Yes. They're trying to appeal to those people that just didn't like WandaVision right away.
Yes.
Like, here, do you understand everything that's going on? There's nothing. Exactly.
Exactly.
There's nothing for you to understand now. Because there's just nothing. Anyway, sorry.
That's funny. You got me there. So it wasn't last week, but the week before, I think, or something. The St. Patrick's Day episode. I think we very briefly we went off on a rail about talking about a couple of shows that ended too soon. And as we were coming up with this, Ken brought up this idea about shows, and he had a show that he's talked about before. So it kind of got us thinking, like, there's shows that ended too soon, and that's as opposed to there's shows that lasted way too long.
Yeah,
there's a lot. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. Like, I don't know if there is a show that's like, oh, it ended like perfect. Like, there's probably only a handful of shows where you're like, yeah, they ended it. It was good. It was almost getting too long. Like, usually, like, it's just horrible ending, or why'd you end it?
That's fair. I'm now trying to think of like what ended perfectly. And I'm like right there with it, and I don't know if I'm thinking of a movie. I'll come back to it, and we'll circle back. But Ken, why don't you start? Like, I know you had one that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. So, gosh, dude, there's two that I kind of like top of head are shows that I wish there was more of before they canceled it. And my number one was a TV show named V, The Visitors. Do you remember that at all?
Nope, but I remember talking about it on a previous episode of Nightcap Chat, the pop culture podcast.
It came around the time of the Olympics of 2008 was when it was put on hiatus. And it was started in 2007, and it went 2 seasons. And they left a great cliffhanger at the end of season 2 that was connecting back to the original 1980s V series, because they were using characters that you would recognize from the 1980s show if you watched the 80s show, but they were kind of more or less claiming that these shows don't connect. It's a whole brand new reboot. There's no connection whatsoever. But the way that they ended the second season clearly made the connection to the original series, because in the original series, Mark Singer played a character named Donovan, who was head of the human resistance with the few alien defectors that are trying to stop the aliens from taking over the world. And they came to this planet to more or less colonize and enslave the human species and use it as food, but then use the resources to do whatever they needed to with the resources. That's the original plot of the TV series from the 1980s.
And I take it it didn't catch on.
The what?
I said I take it just didn't catch on.
Yeah, and they were they went, I think, 3 seasons back in the 1980s as well.
Okay.
And it was more or less, these humanoid-looking creatures that were actually lizard people underneath their fake skin they made.
Ah, true story.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds
very
like
Star
it.
Trek. But eventually, like in the original TV series, they did win, and the aliens went away, and that they tied up the series. And this, reincarnation of it, more or less is getting to the climax of the fact of like they're going to start a successful resistance against the aliens, because they finally get the proof that the aliens are not our friends. Very they're coming to offer resources this time. They're offering different types of things that are gifts to humanity this time, rather than trying to more or less act as friends and then really trying to take over. They're actually bringing different resources to Earth to try to get the Earth to trust them this time around. Okay. But as the story goes, the resistance, called the Fifth Column, which is obviously the symbol of V means 5, are resistance people and soldiers that are trying to prove that the aliens aren't there to be altruistic, but are actually there for the mission to take over the world. And after the second season, they bring the lady that's the leader of the resistance for the humans now of the Fifth Column down into an underground base, and they introduce him to the character that was Donovan, Mark Singer, in the first TV series, and they cut it off there, and that was the end of the TV show for him. So the fact of like, wow, it's like, okay, the original alien invasion did take place, but why doesn't anybody remember they were here? And so I think that was kind of going to be the third season, explaining how the aliens somehow removed any segment of the fact that they were here before, because they're beginning to find skeletons in that second season and
Yeah.
random things that showed evidence of these aliens being here before this time that they're back again. So they had like a really good setup for season 3, but they never finished it because the writer's strike and the Olympics canceled the series.
Yeah. Interesting.
Huh.
It'd be interesting.
And
to
it has
kinda
a
go back and-
it has a 7.5 on IMDb too.
Wow.
It's a good series. I mean, it sounds like crap, but trust me, if you watch it, you get involved really quickly. Very, very well done. A lot of great actors and actresses in it too, as well, that became more or less more important people down their line. Like, remember the lady who played Smallville? I mean, Supergirl in Smallville?
No, but I acknowledge her existence.
Okay, I'm sorry, dude, but she played like the main alien leader's daughter.
Okay.
And, like that from, oh my gosh, dude, it's a Deadpool fan. You're going to hate me for forgetting this, but what is the name of Deadpool's girlfriend's actress name again?
Oh, the girl who played Vanessa?
Yes.
That is I'm not gonna hit you because that's hard to come up with. Hold on, I know what it is. It's
she was also
Morena
Baccarin.
Yeah.
Morena Baccarin was the main leader of the visitors.
Really?
Like she was the leader of the aliens.
Interesting. Yeah, that is an interesting cast. I only watched a little bit of Smallville, so like I'm not up on my Smallville characters there.
Yeah, but if you give it a watch, I'm pretty sure you'd get pretty invested in the TV show.
Just to be disappointed that it's over.
Yeah, absolutely. if you like science fiction, I said too. I think why I appreciated what they were doing is because I remember watching the first version of it back in the 80s too, as well.
For sure.
And you don't need to watch the 80s one to understand everything going on, but the connections are there subtly for the fans that watch it the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's always nice.
So that's kind of fun to see.
It is cool, and we must be one of the few pop culture podcasts that talked about this show twice already.
Oh, really?
Well, we did.
And you know what's weird? When you hold up the number 2, you make a V.
Oh, what's happening? What's happening?
We got to talk about it 3 more times too to make it up to the 5.
Are we even real? Have we been replaced by aliens?
Maybe.
Find out in the next episode of Nightcap Chat, the Pop Culture Podcast.
Did this just turn into Dragon Ball Z?
I got to start talking about things everybody can relate to.
My goodness, you are selling me on this. I have to admit,
it's super good. I don't like bragging about things unless I really do enjoy them.
Yeah. I'm open to giving it a try. I wonder what even social not social media platforms, streaming platforms might even have that.
Probably Amazon.
Probably Amazon. And I'm gonna Google it real quick while Lance tells us what his first pick is.
Okay, I couldn't think of any, and then I got like 8 animated shows that popped up in my head.
I think I'm gonna have a hard time not bringing up animated shows. Go on.
But I guess I'll start with my one like non-animated show that I actually forgot about. I was just literally just looking around and was like, oh yeah, this show was only around for. There's a lot of episodes, but it still ended kind of quickly.
And real quick, you can buy the seasons on Prime. That's what I'm saying for V. Anyway, let's go
on. And that is Boston Legal.
Nice.
Boston.
Have you guys ever seen? Have you ever seen Boston Legal?
That's not a
Will Shatner show.
No, I said this is my one non-cartoon.
Oh. Yes, it's a William Shatner show, right?
Yeah, it was James Spader and William Shatner were the two.
James Spader.
And it was so funny. Oh my gosh. It was such a good show. It's just about like, it was just 2 lawyers like going around dealing, just like a typical show that's about like, lawsuits and whatever, but it was just funny. It was hilarious. James Spader and Shatner they had great chemistry. It was just so good. And there was only like 4 seasons of it. But it was just so good. Like, and some of the stuff, I don't know if it got canceled because some of the jokes, probably would like get somebody canceled today, maybe, because people would find some of it offensive. So maybe that had part to do with it. I'm not sure, but the show was just good. And when two people like that have chemistry, that are witty and funny and dry humor, it's just, you can't beat it,
Right.
Have either of you guys watched the show?
I've heard of it, but I never had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, me neither.
So
and I really dig James Spader.
Yes, and Will Shatner.
Yeah, I mean that's a great duo right there, and I don't think you'll get them together anywhere else. I mean, I'd have to Google it, but I mean, James, I want to get more into James Spader in particular, like especially after this is stupid, but I mean, I watched The Office every night. Yes. I'm talking like almost every night for the last, I don't even know how many years. I've watched The Office all the way through. I've got to be approaching 100 times. It has to be. I don't know for sure because I can't do the proper math, but going to bed watching it every night, constantly over a few years. I mean, I don't know. You got to sit down and do that. But I always stop at the end of season 7. Right. And, and I'm just going to say it because if you really cared about spoilers for The Office, like you watched it already, but it's when Steve Carell leaves at the end of season 7. So they kind of struggle in the last 2 seasons, but James Spader comes on at the end of season 7, starts at season 8. And he carries The Office in season 8 by himself. Like he brings a different kind of humor that is so quotable, absolutely ridiculous, but also just so smart and just like a dry humor. It's fantastic. And it really brought a different flavor to The Office while still keeping it within this world, If
you enjoyed him in that, it's literally that probably same character in this show. Like it's so good. And Shatner's hilarious.
And that's actually a perfect segue into something. I love The Office, and I'm actually dying to do an episode or 2 about The Office. Now, I don't know that The Office is a good pick for this because we got 9 seasons, and it did end. And it did end almost perfectly. But yeah, this isn't an ideal candidate, but I feel like the way they handled the final 3 seasons, like they were just kind of didn't have an end in sight until they decided the last season was the last season. They kind of almost unceremoniously let Steve Carell leave the show. And then I wanted to know more about what he was doing because, during the first 7 seasons, he always talks about getting married and having kids. And all of that just kind of gets relegated to some character dialogue in passing, and it was sort of unceremonious, and the whole thing to me almost gets derailed at the end of season 7. He leaves and we're left with 3, I think it's about 3 episodes. I always skip them, but Will Ferrell takes over and it's so stupid. He sucks. Don't get me wrong. Will Ferrell is hit or miss, but this was a huge miss. He wasn't funny. His character was dumb. He was really annoying. And then they just kill him. And that's it. And like, it has, like, isn't that weird? Like, this is The Office. Like, he just dies at the end of season 7. And it's just like, what was the point of that?
Wow.
But then luckily James Spader saved season 8. And then season 9, I call it stressful or depressing because of like one of the main plots. It's just like, it just gets too serious. Like, I don't watch The Office for drama. Like I want it to be lighthearted humor. And, kind of to Lance's point on Boston Legal, perhaps, it needed to end because, especially like today's, overly sensitive political climate, some of these jokes probably wouldn't fly, even though it wasn't that long ago, so I guess it's sort of bittersweet it had to end, but like I think one more season to sort of have some more, I don't know, more send off to Michael Scott and what was going on with him and Holly would have been perfect. But I will admit I'll take what I can get. As weird as that sounds.
It's funny that you as you're talking about The Office, it immediately popped up in my head a show that was like, it's like hard to say because it had 10 seasons, right? And there's other shows that have had like as many episodes probably or more that still ended way too soon. And like could have probably gone on forever. And it literally just popped up in my head. I was like, man, the ending wasn't that good. And it definitely could have kept going. And that's Seinfeld. Like the last episode's stupid, right? And it's just that like that show could have gone on for another like 10 years and everyone would have been happy. You know what I mean?
Ken,
Absolutely.
will you refresh my memory on Seinfeld? Did you like not watch it that much?
I did not watch Seinfeld much because I was usually working nights.
Yes, that's right.
And I missed a lot of primetime TV in the 90s, which kind of is like the dead era for me, the 90s, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because I always had closing shifts. And so I was always working like either 2 to close or 5 to close, or a lot of primetime stuff was missed because VCRs only have one recording, time per night. And as I said too, there was a lot of things that I just missed altogether.
Yeah.
Because I'd either forget to set my VCR for it or just kind of was like, okay, I got to do other things.
That's right.
Besides TV at that time.
Well, you have 173 episodes to watch. So.
I know, dude. And I said too, what I did see of Steinfeld, I loved. I just didn't see it on a consistent basis. I mean, It was the same thing with Friends. I mean, I'd catch bits and pieces of Friends, but I've never seen every episode of Friends.
Seinfeld's better.
That was something I used to kind of enjoy with Friends. Seinfeld was more witty. I mean, as I said too, is like I used to like oh my gosh, dude, I forgot his name. The neighbor that was so obnoxious. Kramer was awesome, and then the other one too that was
Newman,
thank you, dude. And just both the neighbors were just unbelievably. Seinfeld was great, but the cast around him was, I think, carried the show from what I saw. Was like, Seinfeld is always funny. Jerry Seinfeld's always a great comedian, but just how he has to interact with the people around him made that show just beautiful to watch, what I did see.
And going back and like rewatching it, there's so many like jokes that I don't know if people outside of like I feel like if you don't live in like a big city, you wouldn't even understand like half the jokes.
Yeah.
Like, cause there's so many like jokes about like New York jokes in there. Like maybe people wouldn't catch like about just like dealing with like little city things. Like, I don't know if people would even understand. And like so many like cultural things. Cause obviously it's like a melting pot and it's such a good show.
I mean, there's a whole episode about waiting for a table at a Chinese restaurant. Like all they're doing is standing there talking to each other and waiting for a table at a Chinese restaurant. Like, how do you do that? Absolutely ridiculous. But to your point, like, you could have kept it going. At what point do you run out of gags? So it's one of those things where, like you said, die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So
which I guess almost happened to The Office with those 2 seasons, and then they tried rectifying it.
It's right on that border, and I think it just needed. The problem was they got rid of Steve Carell, and there wasn't a proper resolution there. So it's sort of both. What I mean? It's one of those situations where it's both, which is interesting. Okay, what you got next?
Wow, dude, it's like it's another show that I think didn't just get enough time to develop, and they did a movie afterwards to try it all up. Was Firefly, and Josh Whedon. I mean, that was the first time I had more or less. I didn't watch Buffy. So for all those Buffy fans out there, that was my first experience with Josh Whedon was Firefly and Serenity. And Firefly, I'm sure my good friends, the Madsons, you guys all know them well.
Yeah.
They introduced me to Firefly, and I said, "How have you not watched the show?" And I go, "I missed it." You know what I mean? I didn't see a lot of TV over from my TV was more or less drowned me in the 80s, and I was kind of thirsty for all the 90s and early 2000s TV shows I didn't get to see, I guess.
When did the show air?
I want to say Firefly was about 2003, 2004, if I'm correct. Double check
2002 to 2003.
Okay, so I was off by a year or two there.
Yeah,
and
right
I remember hearing about it. It was on, I would say it was on Fox. Was it on Fox originally, or was it on CW or Warner Brothers? I want to say it was Fox, but I might be wrong.
As everyone is sitting here Googling it, Fox.
And Fox just didn't see the ratings behind it, and they canceled it after one season. So John Madsen, my buddy, lent it to me on DVD, and we watched it within a day. It was only 8 episodes, if I remember correctly. And then Serenity, the movie, was supposed to tie everything up, and it was okay. I mean, Serenity, the movie, kind of tied everything up, but it was a Star Wars-esque type of universe built that, if you're a Star Trek fan or a Star Wars fan, you could easily get invested in these characters.
Huh.
And it's just, it had a lot of, or less, that feel that Whedon gave the Avengers. He just knows how to write interpersonal relationships of characters, and every character in that show. Alan Tudyk was a character in there. Now, since watching Firefly and Serenity, I'm a huge Alan Tudyk fan. And I had no idea who Alan Tudyk was. I mean, I'm starting to watch, it's called Resident Alien. Have you guys started that yet?
Nope.
It's based off a comic series where an alien lands on Earth and he's trying to assimilate himself into Earth as a human, but his mission is to take over Earth, but he starts sympathizing with the emotions of being human. And just his quirkiness of almost like an autistic sense of being purely alien and trying to hide as a human, but then start enjoying what it's like to be a human is so much fun to watch because he's got no social cue sense. It's very funny watching his sense of not understanding how human sensitivity works, and it's pretty hilarious. The first 4 episodes I've watched are extremely good. So if you guys like Alan Tudyk, definitely give that a chance too. Resident Alien. It's a new show on what's that? What Sci-Fi or remember what channel it's on? But just started recently, and it's extremely good. But Alan Tudyk, I got my love from watching Firefly and Serenity, and then obviously Malcolm Reynolds. Oh my gosh, dude! Nathan Fillion. Yep. That's the first time I ever saw Nathan Fillion, and everything he's in afterwards I really enjoyed because of how much I appreciate how good they're acting. Once again, Maria Baccarin we talked about earlier. That's where I first saw Maria Baccarin too.
Oh, she was in Firefly?
Yeah, she was the companion. Yeah, she was the companion inside of Firefly.
I haven't seen it. I think I might have started the movie or something and fell asleep. I honestly don't remember.
Serenity is a hard watch without seeing Firefly. Because I think Serenity's the tie-up of the whole TV series. Because Josh Whedon wanted to at least do some kind of ending for what he started on the TV series. And he tied it all up in a 2-hour movie, which you can kind of watch by itself. But if you watch Firefly first, it makes it that much better to watch Serenity.
I see. Yeah, I haven't seen it, which is interesting. That might be a theme for this episode. These things we haven't, things only we've seen, but not.
How about a TV show that I think ended too early, even though it did go, people say, too long? Okay. I'm going to throw that one. Everybody thinks seen this.
Okay.
Is Breaking Bad?
No, I didn't.
Did you guys see Breaking Bad?
Nope.
I didn't watch it. No,
I haven't.
I've watched like an episode like here or there, but I haven't.
See, you thought you had us.
Hey, what about Sons of Anarchy? I've seen all Sons of Anarchy.
Not a single episode.
I have also seen a couple episodes, and then I wasn't. It's not my thing. I like dark dramas. That's something I've realized over the years. I started getting into dark dramas.
Okay.
And I just want to see how everything plays out. who gets out of it, who doesn't get out of it.
Yeah.
Same with the Ozarks. You guys watching the Ozarks on Netflix at all?
I never even heard of that.
It's Jason Bateman's TV show. They're going into the 4th season.
Oh.
And it's deals with an accountant that unfortunately got mixed up with his partner doing the accounting for a drug dealer. And unfortunately, his partner laundered money in a way that wasn't accounted for. So the drug dealer killed his partner and now is forcing his partner to recoup that money, but then also start new scams for him until he feels he's paid off his debts to him. And brings his family into it. It's just it's a dynamic, dark drama until seeing how they're going to get out of this. And it changes directions along the way too. And so I don't want to spoil anything for people that are going to watch it because it's still going.
Okay.
It's heading into its 4th season on Netflix. And whether it ends too quickly or not, we'll find out now.
Yeah. Yeah. Never even heard of that. Something that I know everyone has seen.
Yes.
I got this. This ended too early, but I'm going to say there is hope. It is continued in some form because of what happened. Okay. And that is Netflix's Daredevil.
Yes. All these Marvel Netflix shows ended way too early.
Nope. Not all of them. Only Daredevil.
Just Daredevil?
Yep.
Because of the Bullseye ending?
Yes. And because Jessica Jones sucked and Luke Cage sucked and Iron Fist sucked.
Wow. Iron Fist I had a hard time with, but everything else I enjoyed.
The only other Punisher was good. But besides that, the only one I liked was season 2 of Jessica Jones, not season 1. And even
the Defenders was good.
Okay, yes. That doesn't count. The Defenders was good. But talk about too short. Like it was how many episodes and it was over. And I
didn't really consider it canceled. I just figured it was them losing the rights and they're going to do it somewhere else.
Well, since it got canceled, quote unquote, I'm gonna bring it up because we had that cool Bullseye cliffhanger. But everything they did, Kingpin was great. The way they brought him back was great. The sub story with Punisher. He showed up for 3 episodes and upstaged, Charlie Cox, was awesome. The girl who played Elektra was great. Her whole story, like all these Daredevil stories that they did, the thing with his mother and the nuns, like there's so many. It shows you like how useful the TV format is to really get all these different stories in, and you can have a season, you can have these different subplots of different comic book plots, which is cool. They did a great job with Bullseye. Yes. And I was ready for more.
How can you watch it? How does that work?
I think it's still on Netflix. And they also released it.
Have the ability to play it?
Yeah, it's also on Blu-ray, I think.
Oh, okay. I just thought that was kind of weird. Like,
because
they made it, but they don't have. Right, they can't.
It's canceled, so they can't make more.
Oh, okay. But it'll never be on Disney Plus.
We don't know. We don't know. It depends on what that deal said. So time will tell, I guess.
That's weird.
I think eventually you may see it on Disney Plus. Like all the Fox movies are.
Yeah, once Disney buys Netflix. Yeah,
exactly. Once Disney buys Netflix, they're not going to do it. They can't. They own Hulu. There's no way. After they have Disney Plus and Hulu, there's no way anyone would let them buy Netflix. You got to draw the line somewhere.
They almost didn't let them get ESPN.
Exactly. Gosh, please remind me after.
Oh no, it wasn't that. It was they didn't even let them get Fox Sports because they have ESPN.
They have ESPN.
That's right. That's what it was. Listen, I need to say this out loud. Please remind me to cancel ESPN Plus. It keeps charging my card. I had to buy it to watch the Connor fight, and it's been charging every month since then. Remind me when we stop recording to cancel this damn thing. Anyway, moving on. I need to cancel that. Who's got something next? I don't even know whose turn it is.
I have like 6 things. So
my gosh, I have one more thing. Maybe Lance should go next because he has 6 things.
Yes.
We can't do all 6. We don't have time for that. But
okay. How about one that we've all have seen?
Oh,
come on!
We'll
I may
see.
not seen it.
We'll
They've not
see.
seen it.
X-Men the animated series in the 90s.
Okay, I conceive.
Right?
I've
Yes.
seen the
Right?
majority of it.
I mean, we've all seen it, and it was amazing. And why it ended, I have no idea. I mean, it was only 5 seasons. We had how many episodes? 76 episodes. That's not even a lot for, especially an animated thing or a cartoon. Man, that show was so good. Name me a better animated show that's superheroes.
That's a good one.
That's superheroes. I don't know. We've been binging this show.
Yeah,
It is good. You know, it's a little dated,
good.
but it's very comic book accurate. You know, like within reason. Not completely, but I mean, like you can get a firm grasp on it. And it's like one of the best eras of X-Men storytelling there. Like you get the Phoenix Saga, Dark Phoenix Saga, Days of Future Past. Gosh, all of that. Great stuff, you know?
And none of it was dragged out. It was like a couple of episodes and you did the Phoenix Saga and was like, wow, that was a lot.
Yes. I know there's a lot of people that would argue that Batman the Animated Series would be right up there with it.
Oh, yes.
As the best animated series of all time.
100%. 100%.
But X-Men, I think, had a much better story scope, because there's so many different villains and characters, and to have all that works for so long in the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
With Batman, you have just his Batman gallery and his Batman ally.
Yeah.
There's X-Men. Oh my gosh, dude! They brought in almost everybody during one moment or another during the X-Men cartoon.
Yeah.
Even though Colossus wasn't part of the team, they did an episode with Colossus in it, if I remember it correctly, with the X-Men cartoon, right?
Yep.
And then, Morph, unfortunately, died in the first episode. Then they brought him back as a villain, which was a subplot they even brought back. They stayed in their own continuity the same way the X-Men comics did. And that was something that was kind of hard to do with cartoons back until X-Men started, is let's start a continuity in a cartoon rather than everything being episodic.
Yep.
And, not worry about touching on something that happened way before. It was not something you saw very often in cartoons until the X-Men animated series started up.
Further with the Morph thing, he came back as a villain, he ran away again, and then he tried to kind of get over, I think it was Mr. Sinister or whatever, kind of manipulating him, and then he kind of came back into the fold. So it went even further, than that, which was cool. And they also weren't afraid to tell the lore as it was. There's episodes about, or one episode about Rogue holding on to Ms. Marvel for too long, and they had Carol Danvers, in the hospital with a coma and stuff. They touched on stuff like that. When the Phoenix Force goes off and does whatever in the worlds, there's this scene where Uatu knows what's going on, and Doctor Strange kind of senses it too. They cut to all of these characters. Oh, and Eternity, I think. Some deep cuts there. This is just an X-Men show, but they acknowledged the rest of the Marvel universe, when it was appropriate, even if it was just an Easter egg,
Yeah, they stayed really true to content. As much as I love Spider-Man, I think that's where Spider-Man cartoon failed, is they were afraid to stick to the comic book content.
You think so? You talking about the 90s one?
Yes, I think.
That was the next one I was going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, but there's a lot of things that they kind of took liberties on because they didn't think it was. How would you say it? It was too complicated for kids to understand. They did the symbiote coming down on a space shuttle, but then the final season they did Secret Wars anyway. And you know what I mean? I'm kind of going like that. Okay, cool, I get it. You're cutting out Secret Wars because it's too complicated to understand in a Spider-Man cartoon. So let's bring in Venom easy because everybody loves Venom, but we don't want a huge epic story to introduce the symbiote into the story. And again, this comes from Mr. Symbiote fan. Do you know what I mean? That's
right.
what got me into comics, but I had a hard time with the Spider-Man cartoon after I saw them do that. Yeah. And it's purely just because of my own biasness of like, you have that great story of Secret Wars and you avoid it to make it easy to introduce Venom into the cartoon series. And then, okay, you don't need Secret Wars. But then Secret Wars is such a great epic with Spider-Man, you got to bring it in anyway. And it was kind of putting the cart before the horse just so they could get Venom into the cartoon. I was kind of like,
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, dude, like Venom's not the pull to the cartoon, it's Spider-Man. But I felt like that they, didn't want to develop the symbiote story. They want to develop the Venom story. And that's what the purpose of symbiote is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's fair. I did like it, but I totally understand where you're coming from. Like, okay, I get why you cut out Secret War to introduce the symbiote, and then they did it anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because it's such a great story.
It is a great story. Wow.
But
that's interesting.
And if we're sticking on the topic of like superheroes shows, how about the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes when they did that? Like the first time they did the Avengers and like the 2010, they did a show for like 2 years and it was great. Like it was like kind of like with the X-Men show where, I mean, it wasn't like they weren't doing comic book stories. Like they would do storylines, but it wasn't like exactly like the comic, which is fine because you don't want to really know what's going on because it keeps it interesting, right? If you just knew what was going to happen, that'd be boring. But they would do things like the Skrulls, and they would do, Captain Marvel, like the old Captain Marvel. Now, not Carol Danvers, right? Marvel. It was just like there were so many good storylines, and it was going so well. I don't really understand why they just said, nope, we're going to restart and we're making a whole new Avengers show.
It was getting really good. And wasn't one of the last things like Galactus was coming and then it ended?
Wow.
And that was it?
Was that due to the Disney purchase where they
wanted
to reboot everything?
Yeah, it was. Disney wanted to do their show their way, and which is like, I get it, but at the same time, I was so into it. And there's only 2 seasons and there was 2 great seasons.
And that first season of whatever the reboot was after that, like this was not that good.
No, but that show does get a lot better. Because I've watched.
I'm specifically referring to that first season.
Yeah, the last episode, Blade, Galactus comes in.
See, now we're back to that again. Gosh, it's always fun when Galactus comes. Like that in the video games too. It's just that's a moment.
Yeah.
Ken, do you have another show? Because I know you said 2, but I didn't know if you had more than that.
There's so many shows that I pretty much don't like every scene ending. Do you know what I mean? So we could go on for hours for you guys, but like even Cheers, I didn't think Cheers ended the way that I hoped it would ended.
Yeah,
and like that, Cheers is an all-time classic, and you kind of get the feeling that Diana and Sam were going to get married at the end, and they still couldn't do it. It's like that. When things kind of don't always work out for the characters the way that you expect them to. It's kind of like not really the best ending you would hope for. And it was just to set up Frasier, as a new TV series because let's keep it going. And when I tried watching Frasier, and I had no interest in watching Frasier in Seattle, doing a radio talk show. But when he was on Cheers, man, dude, he was one of the better characters because it fit the chemistry of everybody in that show all having their role and playing it perfectly with each other. I mean, you were invested once again in every character on that show. So like when Frasier, as much as Frasier went a bunch of seasons too, I just didn't get that same vibe of wanting to watch Frasier after watching Cheers for so long. And so that was one of the shows I feel like kind of didn't end as great as everybody thought it would.
I can see that. And I love Frasier, just to clarify, I thought that was...
He's a likable character, I said too. It's like just the TV show was so drastically different than Cheers.
Yes.
It was just... it didn't feel like the same Frasier to me, because I said too, the character was a psychologist on Cheers and always doubting himself. Do you know what I mean? It was just such a great dynamic of finding the one place that he didn't fit in or couldn't understand, and he tried so hard to fit into Cheers that he became likable for that reason, as he started like feeling for Frasier by watching Cheers, and he became invested in his character. And then on Frasier was good. It was just so different than it was on Cheers, that dynamic.
Yeah. I totally get that. I agree with that. And I've seen Cheers. I perhaps haven't seen it too much in the.
Do you want me to go for a more modern show that I think ended almost perfectly?
I've seen a lot of Cheers.
I've seen a lot. I've seen tons of Cheers.
Cheers is a good show. I mean, like one of the greatest shows of all time, right?
No, yeah, and Frasier was very good too.
Yes.
And talk about
I have no doubt of how good Frasier was. It was just such a drastic change of theme of show that like I missed the rest. Every time I saw Frasier, I wanted to see the rest of the characters that were on Cheers.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of it, was like that, man, dude, those characters' chemistry was so good. And I love Frasier's father. I love the dog.
Yes.
I loved his girlfriend showing back up. I mean, great show. It was just, I was so invested in Cheers growing up. It was hard for me to get into watching Frasier because I wanted more characters to show up on Frasier, and they never did. Do you know what I mean? I was hoping like, hey, let's have Woody come in and be a guest on his show now that he is a mayor of Indiana. Do you know what I mean? It's just little things too of like that, hey, this Seattle screwed up. Let's talk to another mayor and see how things are going in Indiana. It's been just like fun little crossovers like that they could have brought into the show of Frasier from his time on Cheers.
And they're doing Funko Pops of Frasier now, which is crazy. I'm curious how well those do, because like it's not something like you hear about, you know, especially like in modern pop culture. I mean, at least I don't think so. One show that I love, and I have all the Funko Pops from this show. Okay.
Yes.
This is a cartoon. I don't think you've seen it, but I know Lance has seen it.
It's probably the one I have written down.
Oh, I'm going to beat you to it right now.
That's fine. I have more anyway.
I loved this show. It just ended. And I thought for sure that we were going to get a couple more seasons out of it. There was only 2 seasons. I got into it like at the end of season 1, I think, and there was a whole mystery, you know, around it. It's a cartoon. It's a Disney cartoon, right? It's a show called Gravity Falls. Okay. I think it's on Disney Plus. I could be wrong. It's a great show, and it's good for kids. It's good for adults. You know, it's got some of that humor that goes over kids' heads. But there's like a legit, like after you get into like the first, you know, handful of episodes and you have some fun, you know, you start kind of getting to this mystery that's happening in Gravity Falls. Is it Oregon, right? No, it's not Washington.
Yeah, I think so.
It's Oregon. I know everyone's going to freak out about the way we all pronounce that state's name. Whatever. I'm from New York. Get over it. Great show. Great characters. It's kind of, I don't want to call it like deep, like it's super deep or anything, but you know, it just kind of has that little extra layer, you know, that like, I'm not saying it's serious, but like there's a bit of a mystery to it, you know?
But it was one of those shows though that it was so like you didn't know what was going to happen next. That was so good that there were so many theories, and like people were doing so many like crazy things. Like if you see this in this episode, then that in that episode, and then this, and then if you like extrapolate the stars, it turns into this, and it's just like, and none of it was like right or accurate. But it was just like one of those shows that was like, man, if you were like around to like for all the fan theories, it was like even like better, because it was like, wow, look at all this crazy.
It's like what we just did with WandaVision.
Yes.
Because there was so much. There was a lot of. I don't know if I'm going to say this right. Is it symbolology? Because there was the use of symbols between this whole thing with like there was 3 different journals that had different symbols, and you saw these different symbols within different parts of the town. So I think symbology. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Symbology?
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I think you're just making crap up.
No. Symbology. Yes, you're right. Symbology.
Oh, I was right.
Yes. Forgive me. Whatever. That's not a word I use all that freaking time, you know. Anyway, there was this whole thing with symbols because like symbols are a very big part of the storytelling. But on top of that, it's just funny. You know, there's cool characters and like no matter how old you are, you know, you always can go think back to like just being a kid and like there's that one summer, you know, like whether you liked a girl or whatever, or you're just hanging out with your sibling, whatever it was, like you had like that summer, you know, somewhere in theory anyway. But you can relate to it on so many levels. It's lots of fun. It makes you think, you know, you're trying to solve the mysteries. And it's so good. And there's epic moments as the story unfolds, especially toward the end. And then that's it. And then it's just the summer's over and the show ended. And I thought for sure, because of what happens in the last few episodes, like you can still like keep it going with like you know, a creature of the day or mystery of the day kind of a thing. But it was just, you know, it just ended. And to tie it back to what we were talking about before, the show's creator, I don't know if he canceled it to make Detective Pikachu, you know, or what it was. But it was just over. But it's definitely worth watching. You know, the story ends, but for sure, like it could have kept going. And there's no reason why it should have only.
I think they could always come back to it, in my opinion.
They should. And
I don't see why not.
And it's a really fun cast. The main, yeah, I'm saying what a great cast it is as I'm sitting here having to Google everyone's names just to tell you. So Alex Hirsch is the show's creator, and he voiced Grunkle Stan, who's one of the main characters. Kristen Schaal, she plays one of the main twins. You know, she's got that very nasally voice. Like you've probably heard her and seen her in a million shows. And Jason Ritter, you know, is her brother, the main kid. Linda Cardinelli. Great cast. You guys are looking at me like I got three heads, but these people are all famous. I promise. Anyway,
you know what's crazy though? That show is so good, and yet after it was canceled, I think I was like so upset that it was canceled. I didn't even go back and watch any of them.
100% agree with you. I would watch it like it was the kind of show you would watch over and over again. But I'm right there. Like I'm so jaded that it's not part of like one of my nightly rotation shows, like The Office, because it's usually The Office, but sometimes take one little break, watch all of Archer or something, and go right back to The Office. Anyway, highly recommend it. Okay, I think we got time for one more from each of you, if you have it.
I've got a guilty pleasure one that
I love guilty pleasure ones.
Guess what it is, because I could watch it no matter what. No matter if they kept on making new episodes. It never ended the story. It was just end of season 4, and it was canceled because he went to do Baywatch. Do you know what I mean? But David Hasselhoff and Knight Rider.
Oh! It's like Baywatch. Like, wait, what are you about to say? Yes,
and
of
it's
course.
like that. I was by far my favorite TV show as a kid. You know, talk about Knight Rider until I'm blue in the face, but. You know, it's like that season 4, they did the updates of the car. They introduced new characters. It was a great new way to keep on going for 2 to 3 seasons. You know, NBC got excited about this whole new idea of Baywatch. It was time to do something different. You know, Knight Rider got canceled and Baywatch was, you know, I said too, I should have loved Baywatch being like, you know, 13, 14 years old, you know, but Knight Rider was cool. It had hot girls in it too as well. But Baywatch, do you know what I mean? Started a whole new generation of David Hasselhoff fanboyism.
Damn,
it was just that car, dude. That black Trans Am. You know, the staff, the characters around it were great. It was just, you know, it was a fun cop show. You know, Lone Ranger and Lone Ranger and Silver was, you know, David Hasselhoff, Michael Knight, Knight Rider. But it was just a great TV show. Think about a car that could less, do anything. It was fun episodic episode, humor in each episode at the end, and it was just it was the show that kind of brought David Hasselhoff fame that we all know was Knight Rider.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. And I have to admit, I don't think I've ever seen the original Knight Rider. But they unsuccessfully tried to reboot it, right? They couldn't do it.
That was horrible. Val Kilmer voiced the car.
Poor Val Kilmer.
I know, dude. It was just it was a Mustang rather than a GM product, which is fine. Do you know what I mean?
Is that fine?
Yeah, it was a glorified Ford commercial. I mean, it was pretty horrible in every way possible. The new Knight Rider.
Wow.
With all due respect, because I had such a major respect for the original Knight Rider, and I tried liking the new Knight Rider series.
Yeah.
I even tried watching it on NBC Peacock, but it's just it's got some elements of the original show, but just too James Bondish. And even though the original Knight Rider, I guess you could say, had a little James Bond element to it too as well.
Yeah.
But it was just I don't know. It just didn't grab the same way that they. And once again, it was probably because of something brand new. Do you know what I mean? There were no talking cars before Knight Rider. Glenn Larson did the 1980s TV show A-Team. Knight Rider was just, even Battlestar Galactica, dude, was ahead of time for the productions of TV that he was doing in the 80s that kind of laid the groundwork. Yeah. That borderline, like, cinematic type of fun inside your TV screen from a week-to-week basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's actually, dude, I think I'm thinking of Buck Rogers, actually. No, it's Battlestar Galactica. So I can just make sure I'm getting that right. It was Battlestar Galactica that he worked on.
Yep. Another show that I haven't seen.
Yeah. You haven't seen parts of it? Like I've seen parts of it.
Of course, like flipping through channels or watching whatever, then that's on next. Like it was on, but I had no idea what was going on.
But it was always on, like right around like Magnum PI would come on too.
Yes.
Oh yes, no, well Magnum PI. That's another great show.
Yeah,
I love Magnum PI. Tom Selleck. Yes. And how about Cars with his red? I don't know Cars. He had a red car. What
red
is it?
Ferrari 308. GTS.
What is it?
A red Ferrari 308.
There you go. That thing. Okay. Come on, that was cool.
I guess you got to understand too. Like as a kid, I wanted to be a car designer. So any show that had a cool car in it gravitated.
So you liked Magnum PI?
Yeah, Magnum PI was good.
Yeah,
it wasn't too bad. I mean, it was cop shows were big in the 80s. Dude, it didn't matter whether good or bad. It was just what was on TV, like Miami Vice, for instance. Like I don't remember much about Miami Vice, but I remember they drove an 87 Ferrari Testarossa that was white. Do you know what I mean? That's what Tubbs drove, and it was just it was. I guess my TV watching in the 80s was very auto driven. You get it?
It was a pun.
Bad joke. Bad pun of the night from Ken.
It's funny you say that, like, because like I also love cars growing up as a kid, and I think that's why I liked Iron Man so much, is because it was like the technology of a car. Mm-hmm. Like he was just all about technology, and sure, like he had cars in the comics, whatever. But like I just thought that like the technology that he had, like with a suit, like that's like possible for some dude to do. So like I don't know. I think that was what part of the interest that piqued me, because I love cars as a kid. Like I used to collect cars and little car toys and whatever. My favorite cars are '69 Stingray.
Nice split window, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever get one, but whatever.
Well, now with that attitude,
it's just it's not that it's like too expensive. It's just like I don't know if it's like why would practical. Like it's not practical at all. Like it's such an old car. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, but you can stick whatever engine to make it practical. It doesn't have to be completely authentic. If it's something you enjoy because of the body, who cares what's under the hood? This is a different conversation.
Easy there, yeah. I don't know where we're going. This is Nightcap chat after.
Wow, no, that's not what I'm saying. Anyway, do you have one more last before we wrap this up?
I'm gonna say my last three really quick, because I just don't want to pick between any of them.
Wow, you're squeezing it.
Okay,
in.
so one that our fans will murder us over if we do not mention, and my wife will also kill, is the Teen Titans TV show in the early 2000s. It was a great show that got canceled way too early. One that Blade I know is going to 100% agree with me on. He's be like, maybe, or he just didn't want to say it, is Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Oh,
just randomly all of a sudden got canceled. And
yes,
so
you're
good.
right. But here's the thing: I fell behind, and it got canceled, so I wasn't trying to catch up. And now I started binge watching it, and then I forgot again. So, because it's
so you haven't seen the ending? Is that what?
No, I haven't.
Oh, so you just don't want it to end in your world, in your mind. It hasn't ended.
It hasn't ended. I'm still on season 2. But so many things happened, and it was just it's such a cool mythology. My goodness. Yes. Yeah. I don't want to derail this, but yes.
Very 4 seasons. So you got a couple seasons.
I'm pretty much halfway there, because it's a really fun, really cool show, especially when you want
What's
a cartoon.
The premise of it?
So it's about a princess from a magical another dimension. Right.
Okay.
And she gets sent to Earth because she has inherited the wand. So whoever's the ruling person in Muni, this wand gets passed down from generation to generation. So there's the ruling family. Those are all humans, and she fights monsters. Okay, and then you realize that not all monsters are necessarily bad, as it goes, but it's just her kind of learning. She's relegated to Earth now, and she's sort of like a foreign exchange student, except she's a princess from another dimension, and she's staying with this kid named Marco, and she's just going to school on Earth, just regular Earth, but she's this princess with magical powers and this wand. But this wand it's a really powerful wand, so chaos ensues as the different creatures and monsters from the other dimension cross over to Earth, and they try to either take it from themselves or whatever. And at first you think the main guy is just kind of a bumbling idiot, but then there's other villains who are more menacing and are pulling the strings, and that are actually a bad deal. And it just gets more complicated from there, but that's sort of the general premise. So it's funny, but there's a lot of cool mythology behind it at the same time.
That's cool.
Yeah,
it had a really expansive universe developing. It was really good.
All while being ridiculous. Her best friend is a disembodied unicorn head.
What's the name of the show one more time? So I want to watch this now.
Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Star versus the Forces of Evil. Is it on any platform?
I'm sure it's on. I think it's on Disney Plus.
I think it's on Disney Plus too. Or no, it's on Hulu.
Actually, this is DisneyNow.com.
It's on Hulu.
Now.
It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
I've been watching it on Hulu. That was as of a few months ago.
And it didn't have an ending, Lance, or did it have an ending?
I believe, it has an ending. I can't recall what it is.
Okay, but they tied it up though, so if we watch it, we'll get everything.
It says
it's on
when
Hulu
I Google
right
it,
now.
It says
there's 4
watch
seasons
now on Disney.
4 seasons on Hulu.
Okay,
you can just turn it on Hulu, because that's where I've been watching it. Oh, I need to click out of this because it's pulling up season 4. Go away. Okay.
It's a really good show.
Yeah.
It's funny too.
Okay.
It's lighthearted.
It is funny. But
it does have some deep, easy moments, but it's good.
But in a good way. It's the deep stuff is in a good way. But I mean, I'd say the first 2 episodes aren't the greatest. They're okay. But even season 1 is really good, especially the finale. You realize we're really going to explore these mythologies here, as opposed to like, let's just say Steven Universe, where the first season was kind of whatever, but then there's some deeper mythologies that are explored with this alien race and stuff, and like Gumball is also another one that's really funny, but it doesn't. The only difference with Gumball is it's just funny with some really dark humor that only adults will appreciate and doesn't necessarily have a deeper mythology. Whereas like a Star versus the Forces of Evil, like you can see like spin-off comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm surprised there wasn't. To me, it's way better than Steven Universe.
Yes, 100%. You got me excited, so I derailed everything. Go on.
I gotta check this out now.
Definitely.
My last one is one that Blade hasn't watched, and I'm jealous because I want to be able to rewatch this again. And it has 289 episodes.
I know.
Good gosh.
I know what it is.
Adventure Time.
Oh, Adventure Time. Nice.
It was an amazing show. It's very similar actually to like Star vs. the Forces of Evil, where like there's this whole dimension, right? This whole world, and then there's like these new characters that come along, and then there's just like this bigger universe that develops, and then there's this alternate dimension that happens, and then you start finding out the mythology of like how it's like a post-apocalyptic world all of a sudden, but it's a funny show. It's really good, like as far as the humor goes, and there's some dark humor. Like it's the same. It's basically like the same thing, just like it actually goes on for like 15 seasons or whatever it was.
15 seasons?
I don't know. Might be 10. Hold on. 10 seasons. Sorry. 10
okay.
seasons.
I was like, that's
well, it's 289 episodes.
That's a lot.
So that's 28 episodes a season. Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't realize Adventure Time went on that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
Yeah. I mean, the show is just so good. And they could have kept going. They have like tied up a lot of things. And I know they just came out with a show on
HBO.
No, on HBO. On HBO. That doesn't say Netflix, but it was HBO show where they gave them like 5-hour episodes or something. I haven't watched those yet because like I don't want to, because I'm like,
it's over then.
I don't want to. It's over. Yeah.
I don't want to end. Yeah.
No,
it's over for real.
It's so good.
Time.
We actually started watching it at night. Yeah. We actually started rewatching the reruns on Hulu. But I'm having a problem with Hulu. I don't know if there's a way to fix this. It's driving me crazy. So when I watch the show, like once through, right?
You
then I go
watch it again, and it just plays the end of every single episode as you go.
Yes. Yeah. What?
It's a mistake. It's been going on for months, and they did not fix it. I'll tell you how to fix it. Before you click on the episode list, you have to go up to the settings on the show and click remove from watch history, and it erases all your watch history, and then you can pick it up from wherever you need to.
That's crazy.
So it removes them all. I don't have to go through each one, right?
No, you remove it's.
Okay.
So when you click on the episode and then you scroll down to click which episode you want to watch, if you scroll up instead, there's a little gear thing that says like settings or whatever it does, and then it gives you the option to remove it from your watch history. That resets all the time markers on every episode in every season, so then you can just start watching it from whatever point.
Okay.
So
I have to do that.
That's how you
drive me
fix it.
crazy because I
You
couldn't
shouldn't
watch
have
my
to do
favorite
it.
seasons.
They should just fix this. But yes, that's how Hulu has been for a long time, and it's super annoying. I'm really glad you said that, though.
Me too, because now I'm gonna watch it again tonight.
Yeah, there. Well, that's how you fix it. And for those of you out there listening, that's how you fix that little thing going on in Hulu. I don't know why it's been months and months and months and not fixed it. I would be embarrassed if that was my platform. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, aren't these platforms about binge watching stuff? Don't you want to, like, we watch it over and over again. We can't be the only people on earth watching the same thing over and over again. Like, this is a problem.
And when it comes to like literally any platform like that, especially like Netflix, like, I'm sorry, you've been a company for how long now? Like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have to get are you still watching notification? I'm watching while I'm trying to go to sleep. I need the background noise. Stop turning off.
Yes.
Four times while I'm trying to sleep.
And I'm getting on my soapbox here. Why is it taking years to figure this out? Because it's on their radar And I did some research on this because they fixed it recently, or so I thought. I didn't realize I got specially selected to be part of their testing of their are you still watching? It was like the yes no was like, or there was a third option within the selection to keep it going. So after you get it the first time, it leaves you alone. And so I was a part of that second test of this. And this has been going on for years. And I thought they fixed it. And it all of a sudden one day it stopped and it went away. And I Googled it. So, and that's when I found out I was just part of the second test run. So they've been testing it. What went wrong that they haven't implemented it yet? It's been years. And we're in COVID and everyone was just watching it. Like, what are you doing?
The only thing I can think of, and to me, there's a simple fix to this, but is that they're worried about people complaining that it doesn't turn off because they don't want to like go over on their internet usage or something, right? Because people don't want to get their internet eaten up. Maybe that's the only thing I can think of, and they don't want to have to like get in trouble for it. But my argument would be just put a setting in that I could choose to have this option or not. Yep. Let me remove it. So if that happens, it's on me.
It's default to always, are you still watching? And you have to go out of your way to turn this thing off. And that's it.
Can I make one other suggestion maybe?
Yes, please.
What if there was too many people that fell asleep while it was still going and they forgot where they left? And they couldn't figure out like, oh crap, which episode was I on?
But
because they got like it played like 6-7 episodes in.
You're
and then
right.
They can't remember where they left off.
You are absolutely correct. But so the way they were testing it, the message would come up after the 3 episodes or whatever it was, right? And that's where it gives you the option to keep going. So if that's the case, you're not gonna allow it to have free reign if it's something you have to pay attention to. Like if it's a show, you're watching with your wife or something and you guys are watching it together, you want to only have this option when you've watched The Office like 100 times and you're just falling asleep to it. You just want it there for the noise. So that's why you need that option available. You know what I mean? So that's why you have it set like that. You know what I mean? Because you're absolutely correct. Like you don't want to lose track and then you wake up and like you see the final twist at the end, like, oh no, I just got spoiled, so like, yes, that's the thing you do want to avoid, of course. But like, it's nice to have that option to click the don't ask me again.
Yes. That'd be awesome. I mean, that makes sense. Okay, if you don't want to be interrupted, don't interrupt me.
Yes. And you're telling it, give me the option to say, like, don't tell me again, like, put that on me.
Yes.
Do you think it could be that they are kind of worried about a server issue where
maybe
everyone's doing this at night, so that at night it's like they can't handle like half of America going to sleep to Netflix and their servers are gonna
crash?
You know what I mean?
It'd be all of America, like at a particular point. Maybe.
Right. So that's a possibility. But one other thing I just thought of also was, I also, because I do this, I usually fall asleep to YouTube now. And the reason for that is like, I'll watch certain things, whether it's like a streamer or just content creator or just some other videos or whatever. But the reason why I fall asleep to it a lot of times is because I can cue what I want to watch. So like, okay, I'll play this video for like an hour, and then I want this to play next, and this to play next, and this to play next, and it takes up 8 hours, and I know I'll wake up and I won't be disturbed with. But why can't I go on to Netflix or Disney Plus and be like, I want to cue the Avengers movie, then Age of Ultron, and then so if I wake up, I still have a movie on, but like there's other things. I don't want to be able to be like, oh, the movie's over and nothing's playing next.
So you create like
because
a playlist.
It's just a movie. Like
you're creating
I want a playlist. Let me create a playlist so I can either fall asleep or it's just like I want to watch these movies consecutively, or
that's a really good idea
and not have to be bothered.
That's an awesome idea that I'm surprised they haven't stumbled onto, because Yeah, ditto like that. If I want to put together a playlist, it's like your own channel that you're creating for yourself on Netflix or Hulu, wherever it's at. It's like, okay, cool. I want to know. I don't want to go searching. I just want to do one search, put everything together, and then know what I want to watch and just keep on going.
I love this idea.
That's actually brilliant. I love
Netflix, Hulu, Disney. You guys listening? Can we
Lance
do this?
Lance is the genius. Hashtag.
That's the genius. You know,
I think that's awesome. Seriously.
Yeah, because I'm right there with you. Like I need the noise to go to sleep. Like I cannot. Like
you can do it with your Apple iTunes. Why can't you do it with TV shows?
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
and Blade would be perfect for you. You could be like season 7 of The Office, and then season 9 or 8 or whatever you want.
I will admit,
skip seasons. Yes.
I have been skipping season 8 and 9, but right before The Office left Netflix, like we watched season 8 and 9 just to kind of do it again, and that's when I realized that I was so caught up in how badly season 7 ended and how disappointed I was they were trying to keep the show going. I got so caught up in that I didn't realize how good season 8 was because of James Spader. And season 9 was whatever, just too depressing. But season 8 is still really good. I just had to get past that part. So now season 8 has made it back into the rotation as of the end of last December.
Now, I have a problem with a lot of TV shows that were too long. I'm intimidated to get into them.
Okay.
Because I can't, do you know what I mean? Like trying to find the time. Like I'd love to watch The Office always. I got through Parks and Rec pretty easily, which is I'm thinking that if I can get into The Office, I'll probably not put it down and I'm done.
Yeah.
But another show I want to watch that I just can't get into because it's like, I think, 12 or 13 seasons was Supernatural. And everybody tells me it's such a great show, but I don't have the time to invest into it. That some shows that you say, like, you definitely are worth investing the time into it to make sure that you get through it.
Yeah, I think the difference between like Supernatural and The Office is Supernatural is like serious. You have to pay attention and like follow the story. But you see, like you got into Parks and Rec, right? And you liked it, and it didn't really matter. And if you liked Parks and Rec, you will definitely like The Office, because in my opinion, The Office is better than Parks and Rec. And here's the thing, like it may seem like it's twice as long. It shouldn't be intimidating because like it's not a serious thing. Like it's a comedy, you know? Yes. So like, you know, the cohesive story, you know, may be there, but it's not the same episode to episode as something like very serious. You know what I mean? Like maybe that's a bit of a stretch.
It's easy to burn through pretty much then.
Yeah. Because it's lighthearted, you know, and
yes,
you don't even have to.
And you don't have to worry about like watching it and like falling asleep.
Exactly.
While you're going to bed or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you missed an episode or something, and then you know, like there's not a huge spoiler, and like, oh, I didn't know such and such turned out to be such and such, or whatever, you know. For The Office, you just have to start, you know, and then the only problem with people starting The Office is the first season, because season 1 is so awkward, you know, like it almost.
I started watching it. I'm going.
It can hurt you.
It's so
hard. If you can just get past that, like you'll be good. If you can power through season 1, and season 1 is short. Season 1 like abruptly ends after. I don't know how many episodes, but season 1's short. It's like canceled after 6 episodes or something like that. So it doesn't last long. And then season 2 starts pretty strong from there. Okay. So, I mean, even if you just kind of pick random episodes just to kind of pick up on the humor and characters and then start over, you know, I think that's sufficient, you know. But I can't recommend The Office enough. Like there's not a single TV show I have watched more than The Office. And I'm not exaggerating when I say like I've probably watched it like 100 times. Like it's gotta be roughly that number.
I mean, it seems like the show's got a strong cast from what I've seen of it so far. And I love shows with strong casts because, as I said too, I can't watch a show for like one character. I have to enjoy everybody on the show, or else it kind of comes out on me pretty quick.
You see, then you'd like it, you know, and just to show you, like, as a testament to how good The Office is, I think, I don't know what the award was, but like the #1 podcast this year or last year, according to whatever it was The Office Ladies podcast. And that's
Nice.
I've only listened to the first few episodes, but it's a podcast done by two of the female cast members from The Office. And they go through episode by episode, and they go through making of that episode and all the behind the scenes episodes. And they keep bringing on like different actors and writers and directors and stuff. And they talk about all the behind the scenes stuff. So even after you get through The Office, you can listen to this podcast, and it's ongoing right now. Like it barely started. I don't know, what was it, like a year or two ago? So in theory, we have, you know, however many years of this left. So there's still more content to be had. But yeah, definitely recommend it. But I think that's about all the time we have for this. We're running a little long here, but this was fun. This was fun talking about the shows we don't really get to talk about here. If you do enjoy Nightcap Chat, we you know, tell your friends about it on social media. We're at Nightcap Chat on Facebook and Twitter, and Nightcap _chat on Instagram. If you enjoy it, you know, leave those 5-star reviews, especially on platforms like iTunes. And you know, word of mouth is really, you know, what we appreciate. You know, like I know how that goes in business. You know, and I know you guys do tell your friends about it, and we greatly appreciate that. And look out soon on our social media, because we got some of these extra shirts here, and we're just gonna give them away, and we're gonna talk amongst ourselves about how to do that here. Ken,
thanks you guys for listening again. You can catch me at Drawn to Comics, downtown Glendale, Arizona, and on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and drawntocomics.com. We appreciate you listening, and thank you again for your guys' time tonight.
And you can catch me on Twitch at Tales of Lance, and Twitter, Instagram at Tales of Lance. And you can hang out, play some video games, talk about stupid stuff, you know, the whole shebang.
And I know I still owe everybody a live stream on Twitch, on Nightcap Chat's Twitch, where we were supposed to open some Pokemon cards. Those Pokemon cards are still unopened. They're sitting in my loft, and it is gnawing at me every single day. Just so you're aware, March is one of the busiest months for voice acting and video production. So like I've been working a lot in March. So like it's been hard to find the time to get my OBS set up to do the stream. So that's what the delay has been, but it is on my radar, and I'm going to do it very, very soon. So look out on social media for that announcement. But thank you all for listening. We love you. Be safe, and we will catch you all next week.
Thank you.
Have a good week.